energy and the oil and gas industry at odds, but they're not necessarily. Several major oil companies invest in renewable energy, different kinds, and probably will do so increasingly as renewable energy becomes more widespread and more competitive. So that doesn't have to be a simple distinction either.
Thank you. Kamal, last question for you. If you look out towards the future, in the audience, I am personally interested in seeing where would growth be. So if I were to say, I have $1 million and I'm interested in going into the oil and gas sector to create some type of technology that I can grow, what part of the oil and gas sector would you say, as an entrepreneur, I can go ahead?
Well, I can tell you where my new investments over the last couple of years have been in oil and gas technology. And they've been primarily in earth sciences, in better imaging and better processing of seismic data to better understand the subsurface. The big problem that we have in shale resources in particular, and in optimizing other types of conventional resources, whether they're CO2 flood or conventional carbonate reservoirs as we have in this region, are better understanding exactly what is in the ground, the characteristics of the rock, the characteristics of the fluids, how they're moving through the rocks.
Is this an area a young entrepreneur can dive into? That was my question. You know, large corporations, yes, but...
Okay, so I'll talk about two different companies. So one of them is called Geoscale, and it's commercializing seismic processing for resolving geomechanical properties of the rock from the seismic data. It's math. It's all math, and most of that was developed over the last 20 years at Shell, and the practitioners of that are mostly PhDs who have been in the industry for a couple of decades, are very familiar with the math and the earth science. Now, another one that I have is called Seismos, and that is commercializing, again, now it's math. So this is commercializing some new technology about the use of seismic that's shot from one well to another, lower frequency, in order to determine the location characteristics of fluids to optimize well sweep efficiency, especially in CO2 fluids.
Excellent marketing.
Yes, that is a young team whose, now the math has been developed, it was developed at UC Berkeley over a long period of time, but the team is young and they're applying a lot of new data visualization techniques to it. So, here you have two technologies both applying math that took a lot of time to develop, but one is an older team and one is a very young team.
Well, so just in conclusion, there is opportunity in oil and gas, which is rich for the two-man shop in the garage.
Absolutely. These are both smaller teams developing highly impactful technology, but in my opinion right now, the biggest challenge we have is still understanding the subsurface.
Okay. Now, last question for you. Would you take, assume I am an entrepreneur, same question. I have $1 million, I have a team that I can build. What would you say, as a petroleum engineer, you have touched just about every piece of upstream. So what would you say is an area where I should go look? What are the 3 areas, for example?
I think there are quite a lot of tools. I mean, if you look at the chain, the super chain from down in the subsurface to downstream, there's quite a lot of tools. The weakness really is the integration of everything. And that's where I see the added value in this new era that we're going into. It's like I was mentioning at the beginning, is that the oil and gas industry has been talking to itself. And it's very difficult to innovate and to really grow in this type of context. So it's first step, integrate the food chain where there are opportunity at all level, and also collaborate and integrate with other industry like IT, which means looking at how to develop new tools, new software to better imaging the subsurface and find new field, new reserve. There's also the integration with the education side, where I was talking about aging workforce and really tailor the education system to actually address that as well. And obviously the economic side of things, to look at the sustainable development at longer term. How does oil and gas contribute to that? And what are the challenges? So that's really the way I see the opportunity and the new era that we're talking about. Not just looking at the technical side,
Excellent.
but looking at the full picture globally and in the food chain and the supply chain as well.
Thank you. Panelists, what I would request is that we discussed a closing statement. With this, I would be asking you to provide 2 to 4 minutes of your closing perspective to the audience. So with that, Mariam, I would like for you to start to give us some of your thoughts.
What I believe that it's better to focus on
Can you turn up the mic, please? Go ahead. Yeah, it's good now.
Generally, we shouldn't think too much of barriers. We have to overcome the barriers because men also face different barriers in their fields, in the promotions. Maybe in that field we face difficulties, but sometimes we face difficulties to work also with women in senior management, right? It is, if we consider some senior woman in the position, why she choose man or woman? And that, so if we don't think too much on this barrier and we overcome and think of improving ourselves to overcome these barriers, we will move well. And this is the way I think. Yes, there is a challenge for everyone, but focusing in challenge and giving excusing will not solve the problem. And this one thing. Second, the country, if I'm talking about United Arab Emirates, supporting women in every field, not only Emirati women, even non-Emirati women. For example, in Dubai Electricity and Water Authority, we have equal pay for men and women, no matter what her gender, if she's from Emirates or not, what is her nationality or his nationality. Equal pay, equal benefits, and considering women take leave for pregnancy and other, but at the same time, the salary is equal. I get the same as my colleague who's having the same experience. Second thing, the country UAE built some NGOs, support NGOs similar to Emirates Science Club. It's Emirates Science Club is an NGO which is there for all Emiratis to do their experience in science or electronics or computer. And we are running many workshops in drones or robotics, which Emiratis, men and women, can come and do the experience. So the country is doing many things for Emiratis and open the area for non-Emiratis for different labs, workshops, and I think we need results. So everything is available for people to be creative, innovative, but this country needs people to build the future for future generations.
Thank you very much, Mariam. I'm going to jump to you, Kamal.
I think the big question is the oil and gas industry an opportunity for women in STEM? Does that fit over the next couple of decades? So first of all, is the industry going to be around? I think that there's no question that if we stop burning hydrocarbons, that would be better for our environment, but that's not practical if for no other reason than the scale of the industry. We produce over 1,000 barrels per second of oil and gas equivalents globally. 70% of that we burn. 30% of that we use to make things. That 30% will always be needed. In fact, that'll grow. So we'll always need to make things out of hydrocarbons. But in the long run, perhaps we can burn less and less of it. But the scale of it's so big that that's not going to change for decades, even as renewables grow. The future challenges in oil and gas are solved with STEM, because the rising costs of finding and developing resources needs technology, needs engineering, needs science in order to solve it and be more efficient. And so there's a big opportunity for women coming into the oil and gas industry because those STEM jobs are on the increase. And the culture of the industry is very inclusive. And what I see in the industry is more and more women coming into the industry, and I think that it's a great place to be.
I agree with Kamal. I mean, we've come a long way as women being involved in the industry. There have been some policies and a change of culture to actually integrate and have more women entering the industry. But the big problem, I think, right now is not really to have the women coming into the industry, is to have them stay in the industry.
Oh, interesting.
And that's the key challenge that we need to address, because with family responsibility and everything that actually fall into women's shoulder at a certain point in life, that's the battle that we normally have. And we should focus the effort on trying to tailor some policies, some regulation to actually get the women to stay in the industry. And it's quite important that we have them to stay, because we need their talent, we need their skills, and to actually be able to continue to run the business, continue to provide sufficient energy to the industry. So that's key. And I mean, it's an exciting industry. I mean, it comes with challenges, but we have, as women, I mean, I think it's also very mythical sometimes that, okay, it's a male-dominated industry, I'm not going to be able to make it, to progress and to have a career, but that's totally up to us. The challenges are there. We should just find ways to address them and continue to do it and make it.
Thank you very much. And Robin, please, give us back over.
Yes, I'm looking back a little bit to when I graduated. I studied geology at university. That's which is how I got into the oil industry, and there were about 70 people in my year. And geology had always been a very traditionally male-dominated science. Now, by the time I was studying it, it was actually pretty much 50-50, the class that I studied in. And when we all graduated, oil was at $10 a barrel, and it was very hard to get jobs, so very few of us went into the oil industry. But I think of about 4 of us who are still in the industry, 3 of them actually women, one of whom has been very one of the leading figures in discovering a lot of oil off Brazil. So, you know, women from that generation definitely have played an increasing role in the industry. I think if we think about this region in particular, of course, we know that there are social, cultural, organisational barriers to women in the workforce, and those are maybe dissipating gradually, but being realistic, they still do remain. Again, if you look back to the kind of old-fashioned oil industry, then it was very important to have a job in the field at some point and be out on the well site. And that I think play a role in hampering with some women's progress. I look back to some women who got started in the industry here in the early 80s and were amongst the very first women to be going and working in the field. And that at that point was a big social change and a big challenge for their organisations to accept. Now it's more common. But I think the change in the industry we're seeing, we've been talking about more use of digital technologies and remote working and data analysis and so on, has meant it's a job where it's field workers are important, but less so than they used to be. So I think some of those barriers to women's greater involvement are coming down bit by bit. And of course, we said at the start, I think women, I think in the industry typically tend to be involved in HR and finance and training and these kind of areas. But no, we are seeing much more women in technical disciplines now. So that's it's a steady change, because these things take time to develop. Role models, but also for attitudes to change, and we still hear some attitudes in this region towards women in the oil industry, which you would not hear probably in Europe and North America. Kind of old-fashioned attitudes that are gradually disappearing. And I think also, as we've discussed, I don't think anybody entering the industry now, whether male or female, should be concerned about that it's they're into a dying industry or something. No, it's interesting, a lot of vitality, a lot of growth in it. Yes, a lot of challenges too, but we want an industry that can provide a very, very interesting, long-term, challenging career, and one industry that, as I've also said, by going to oil and gas, that does not mean any opposition to renewables. It doesn't mean we won't even work on renewables. And in my own career, I've been mostly oil and gas. I've also turned to working on solar power more recently as well. So it is an industry, a very diverse industry with a lot of different opportunities and challenges. And it's been a fascinating one for me and for some of my female colleagues who I've been on this journey with as well.
Thank you very much, Robin. Folks, thank you very much for joining us for the panel. In the end, some of the key takeaways are oil and gas remains a key contributor to positive economic growth in many parts of the world, if not across the globe. Yes, there are impacts which, as technology and science improves, is going to provide us other methods and means of storing energy and its transportation and use. Other facts that we discussed, and which are realities, are the growth of women in STEM education and STEM careers. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight, which Srini Palavarthi from UCLA stated, that things are good, very good in the United States. I have worked for organizations where the focus on diversity has been very, very significant. Different parts of the world, as Robin highlighted, and everybody else on the panel further supported, have their own concerns and considerations, but it is on the positive turn. And finally, technology, because of its democratization, the ability for us to be able to do some of the things that we can do more at a consumer level, and small groups are allowing us to really bring new technologies and ideas into the market very, very quickly. With that, thank you, panelists. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Robin and Kamal, for joining us and providing us with your thoughts and ideas. With that, I close this panel. Thank you. Would you like me to introduce the next? All right, please. Thank you.
So there's a networking break for 30 minutes outside. I'd like to have a couple of